welcome back to Pet Pals. We hope that you had a fantastic holiday, but the new year brings new episodes of our show. I'm Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. Tammy Benson is our volunteer and animal wrangler, and our first guest today is Candia. She is one of our various Star Wars themed animals that we have on the adoption floor right now. She's about 2 to 3 years old. She's a black domestic medium hair. She is a pretty quirky cat. She likes to, be silly and roll around and things like that. In her cage, she is very playful. She enjoys being petted. She has a nice purr. Things that I've recently discovered about her, she's not 100% thrilled with being carried or being forced to sit on a lap like she is right now. And she really does not enjoy the cat carrier. So things that you can do to help with that, not all cats like to be picked up and carried. And so you just have to respect that that's how she feels and work around that. But to help with the carrier, if you just leave the carrier out all the time, make it a nice nap spot for them, put a bed in there, that can make it a positive experience for them as opposed to something that only happens when they're going to the vet or something scary is going to happen to them. So just leaving it out all the time, making it part of their everyday lives will go a long way to making it easier for you to put them in there, which is good because, they should be going to their annual vet visits, but also in case of an emergency if you have to get the animals out of the house quickly. As I mentioned, she's about 2 to 3 years old. She is a pretty petite cat. She weighs just under 8 pounds, so she's not going to get any bigger. She might fill out a little bit more, but with a petite cat, you do need to be more concerned about watching their weight because they can become overweight much more quickly just because their frame is a little bit smaller. And with the longer-haired cats, it is important to make sure that you're keeping an eye out, seeing if they need any grooming assistance. Some cats are really good about taking care of that on their own. I have a medium-hair cat who is excellent about his grooming habits, but not all of them are, so you want to make sure that you're brushing them out more frequently than you would with a short-hair cat, just to make sure that they don't get matted and things like that. She is color-coded green, which is basically, she's showcasing why she's color-coded green. She doesn't really like the restraint. She's a more active cat, but if you let her come to you, she is fun to play with, fun to hang out with. She loves to be petted. You can visit her here at the shelter. Our address is 1832 Rosemont Avenue. This is Jay. He is as talkative as he is handsome. All day long, Jay likes to sit in his cage and encourage visitors to come and see him. And he's particularly fond of yelling at the volunteers so that he can get what he wants, which is attention all day long. He's definitely not shy about asking for what he wants. Jay is a 4-year-old. He is also listed as a domestic medium hair. So we talked about with Candia how it's important to make sure you're helping the longer-haired cats with their grooming maintenance, and Jay is a great example of that. Just today when I picked him up, I noticed that he had several mats on him, and those are just basically giant tangles, and just like when our hair gets tangled up, it can pull on the skin and it can be painful. So that's why it's really important to make sure that you're helping him, brushing him out. If you see those mats, clipping them out, because it gives him a little bit of relief from any uncomfortableness he might be experiencing. I have seen Jay sitting on volunteers' laps. He's super affectionate. He loves attention. He is much bigger than some of the other cats that we have on the floor right now. He weighs a little over 12 pounds. Unfortunately, Jay was surrendered to us when the owner said they could no longer keep him due to housing restrictions. They do give us a lot of good information. They say that Jay is used to being around and gets along with other cats. He can be a little shy, especially of strangers at first. He's playful, friendly. He is used to being an indoor-only cat, which is what our preference is for all of our animals here. They say he loves to play, he loves to cuddle, and they did leave information so that you could reach out to them and ask more questions if you were interested in learning about more of what Jay's life was in his previous home. He is an adult cat at 4 years old, so he would be going home for our standard $97.50 adoption fee. Jay has already been neutered, so he's ready to go. We've made him current on his vaccinations. He just needs to find that perfect forever family for him. If you are interested in Jay, you can visit him here. We are open to the public 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. This is Hux. Hux is also color-coded green like the previous two cats on the show, but it just shows the differences. The animals can be color-coded the same, but have very different personalities. So Hux is also color-coded green, but he is much shyer than Jay or Candia. He is about 6 to 8 years old. He's a domestic short hair. He came to us as a stray, so he's still kind of getting used to all this, being around people and stuff like that. He is ear-tipped, so that indicates to us that he was an outdoor cat, whether he was a barn cat or something like that. He had been altered. They tip the ear so that you can tell from a distance that an animal has already been altered, so you don't have to worry about trying to trap that one because it's already been spayed or neutered. He has been very affectionate and friendly with people who are visiting with him, but he is definitely much more reserved. So not necessarily shy, but not necessarily an orange color-coded cat either. So green does not always indicate that higher energy level. He likes to just kind of hang out in his bed, which is why I brought it out with him. Sometimes the animals are nervous and they have their beds or their blankets or things like that that make them feel safe. And so if we can continue to move those things along with them, then it will make them feel more comfortable, more secure when they're in new and unfamiliar places. Senior cats are great. I personally love all of the seniors that we have here because they are past that kitten stage where they want to be, they're super needy and need attention all the time. They're not cats that generally are climbing up your leg, up the curtains, all of that stuff. They're just cats that want lots of love and affection. They can still be playful. My senior cats are still quite playful at home. But they are more reserved, and you definitely know what you're getting when you are adopting a senior pet. Their personalities may change a little bit just because the shelter can be a bit uncomfortable, but if they're a lap cat here, chances are they're going to be a lap cat at home. If they're playful here, they're probably going to be pretty playful at home. So you know that it's not a personality that's going to change as they're growing and still figuring out who they want to be. Because he is a senior, Hux would go home for a discount in his adoption fee. Being 6 to 8 years old, that would make him $77.50 instead of the normal $97.50. You can visit him here at 1832 Rosemont Avenue. Our next guest is one of our cabana cats. This is Mrs. Mackay, and she's about 2 years old. She's a black and white domestic short hair, and she is also one of our moms here at the shelter. She is part of the Dr. Seuss group. So she and all of her kittens have names from Dr. Seuss. Fortunately, all of her kittens are pretty much either adopted or getting ready to be adopted, and she is the last one left. So we need to find her a nice loving home of her own. In the cabana, she is definitely starting to thrive more than she had just in a normal cage here. She is quite talkative. She's not afraid to let you know when she wants attention, and she comes up to greet people. She's very friendly, she's very affectionate, she's very playful. Wasn't thrilled with being carried around, but she is settled in on a lap, so she's probably going to be more the cat that will come to you when you're already sitting down and sit on you or next to you, as opposed to one that you can just pick up and carry around and things like that. She is pretty petite. She weighs 8 pounds exactly. So when you have those cats with those petite frames, just being a little bit more conscious of how much food they're getting so that she doesn't become overweight. It's much easier for a petite cat to, with a smaller frame and smaller build, to put on an excess of weight that could be potentially dangerous. One of the things that really struck me is how quickly she got along with other cats that we put in the cabana. She and Prissy were friends right away. Prissy recently got adopted, and now Nis is in there, and they seem to be getting along well, sleeping on either sides of the transition cage next to each other, and going up and interacting with each other. Sometimes there's occasional hissing there, but with Mrs. Mackay and the cats that have been in there with her recently, there hasn't been any of that even initial hissing. So if you have existing cats at home, she would be a great fit. It is important, however, to make sure that you're transitioning them appropriately. At 2 years old, she would be adopted for our normal $97.50 adoption fee. We've gone ahead and had her spayed. She's been made up to date on her vaccinations, rabies, distemper, all of her general dewormers, flea and tick preventative. She's also been microchipped, so she's ready to go. She just needs somebody to come in, hang out with her in the cabana, and want to make her part of their family forever. When I first saw this cat, I didn't think I'd have an opportunity to put her on Pet Pals because I thought she would get an application quickly. But to my great surprise, she's been on the floor for a few days now, and no one has applied for her. So this is a great opportunity for people to get to meet Flurry. Flurry is a 2 to 3 year old female domestic long hair. And she is a relative newcomer to the adoption floor, so I'm still getting to know her. Obviously, she's a beautiful cat. She's got that nice white long fur. She's got the cute pink nose, the beautiful green eyes. She's just quite a looker. But she seems to be fairly easygoing from my brief experiences with her. You know, I opened up her cage. She just kind of stayed in one spot, let me pet her, rub all over her head. She gave me a little lick on my hand. Picking her up, I was surprised that she was so comfortable with it. Carried her out with no fuss. She sat down on Tammy's lap and has been quite content ever since. One of the staff told me that she was not super thrilled to go in her cat carrier today while they were doing a full clean on her cage, but most cats not really fans of those cat carriers. As we've talked about earlier in the show with some of our other long-haired cats, she is going to need some assistance with that grooming maintenance. She doesn't have a lot of mats that I could feel on her, but I could definitely feel some small ones. So keeping up with that, clipping those out is just going to make her so much more comfortable. Because she is white, she might get a little dirty. If you're thinking about bathing your cat, you know, there are different schools of thought. Some people like to just put them actually in the bathtub, but you could do a little bit of warm water, dish detergent, and just kind of spot clean her if she got dirty. They do make products that are just kind of like wipes that can help with that, but definitely helping her with the brushing is going to be really important there. At 2 to 3 years old, she will be adopted for that standard $97.50 adoption fee. That covers all of her vaccinations, the microchipping. She was already spayed when she came in, but all of her dewormer, flea and tick preventative, all of that. If you are interested in making Flurry part of your home, you can visit her here at the shelter. Our address is 1832 Rosemont Avenue, and we are open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. If you're not a cat fan and you're not excited to meet animals like Flurry, well, after the break, we're going to introduce you to a bunch of new adoptable dogs that have made their way to our adoption floor.
Agriculture is a proud part of Frederick County's rich history, with over 1,300 farms located throughout. With over 65% of land in our county zoned for agriculture, Frederick provides a mix of urban, suburban, and rural cultures. This means that our roadways are often shared among both the farming community and county motorists. With this in mind, we urge drivers to exercise caution, safety, and patience when approaching farming equipment on the road. Generally, tractors and other equipment don't have to travel long distances, and equipment operators will typically allow traffic to pass when they can safely do so. A little bit of patience exercised on the driver's part will avoid any collisions, safety concerns, fines, or other undesirable consequences that may occur. Remember that farmers are our neighbors, and they are simply trying to do their job for the betterment of Frederick County. So please, share the road.
Child abuse is not an isolated problem. It affects each of us, and it is only through each of us that child abuse can be prevented. Get involved. Call the Child Advocacy Center to find out how to help. 301-600-1758.
Welcome back. This is a very familiar face. If you guys follow our social media, you might have seen us post that Bentley got adopted. And that's true, Bentley did get adopted. Unfortunately, a few days later, he was returned to the shelter. It was through no fault of his own. The situation was, as with all of our adoptions, if you rent, we do call your landlord and advise and ask them, can your tenant have this pet? This is what they're looking to adopt, whether it's a cat, dog. We tell people the breed, and the landlord did say yes when we told them that they were looking to adopt a pit bull. But unfortunately, there was just not a full understanding of what that meant. And when they saw Bentley, they said that Bentley could not live on the property. So as upset as they were, the owners had to bring him back because he wasn't allowed to be on their property. We definitely respect all landlords' decisions on what animals can and can't be on their property. But it is unfortunate that Bentley was judged just by his breed instead of his personality, his temperament, and all of the other great qualities that he has. While Bentley is visually impaired, he is very, very adept at using his other senses. In fact, I was in the hallway the other day updating a bulletin board. He could smell me through the closed door and hear me, and so he kept barking for my attention. He wanted me to come in and interact with him. So he definitely knows what's going on. I saw him interacting with a kid last night. He was able to follow the kid around the play yard without using, obviously, his vision. He walks great on leash. He does chew a little bit on leash, which is why we primarily use a harness and chain leash with him. He does great with other dogs. He just has a lot of fantastic qualities. He already knows sit. He's very affectionate. He just wants to lay on you, cuddle, lick your face. But he does need someone who's willing to give him some structure and some routine, make sure that he's always either in a secured, fenced-in yard or he's on a leash for his own safety. Being cautious of things like steps and stuff, especially while Bentley is new to a home. It's fairly easy to train. You just have to modify some things to train a dog that's either visually or hearing impaired. So despite the fact that he has a pretty severe vision impairment, he's one of the easiest dogs that we have on the adoption floor, and we're looking to find him a permanent, forever home with a great family. If you are interested in Bentley, you can visit him here at the shelter. Our visiting hours are Monday, Tuesday, and Friday from 10 to 5, Wednesday and Thursday from 12 to 8, and Saturday from 10 to 4. Bentley is an adult dog at 2 years old and will be adopted for a fee of $92.50. This is Jane, and Jane is one of the many puppies we have on the adoption floor right now. She is 6 months old. She is a Jack Russell Terrier, and she came to us previously owned. Unfortunately, there were also landlord issues in her home, and as a puppy, sometimes it takes a little bit longer for some than others to be housebroken. So we know that Jane needs somebody to adopt her who is committed to really training her. Puppies are a lot of work, and yeah, they are really cute, and we have a lot of them on the floor right now, but eventually they grow up to be dogs, and if you don't put the time in to train them to behave and have good manners the way that you want when they're young like Jane is, then by the time they get to be adult dogs, they haven't learned those skills. So it's really up to you how the dog that your puppy turns into. She did come in with another young adult dog, another Jack Russell, who's about a year old, a male named Cowboy. Cowboy is currently full on applications, but because Jane is a puppy, we take up to 4 applications for her, and we'll choose the best fit for her. Currently, she doesn't have any applications. The previous owner said that she is a barker, which she is, but she's calm, friendly, playful, rides well in the car. She's not been crate trained either, so she's a young dog. She needs somebody who's going to just teach her all of those things. She's a puppy and she behaves like a puppy. As far as things that we have seen about her, when we behavior assessed her, we found that she doesn't keep her run clean, but we never want anyone to assume that any of the dogs that they get from us are housebroken. You want to make sure that you're willing to train them to be house trained. She's friendly. Her reaction to other dogs is either favorable or she has no reaction to them. She's easy to obtain. She's easy to walk. They were unable to test her for food aggression or object guarding because she wasn't interested in any of the things that she was provided, but she leans in, she enjoys touch, she was content being carried by Tammy, she was content sitting on her lap. No real issues with her. She's just a young dog who needs a family that's going to work with her and give her all the love that she needs. Puppies are adopted for a fee of $150, and you can visit Jane here at the shelter. Our address is 1832 Rosemont Avenue. Bringing lots of energy to the show today, we have Luke and Leia. They are 5-month-old pit bull puppies. So to tell them apart, the white and red one is Luke, and then the fawn and white one is Leia. So Luke is much more confident. He's sweet, but he's definitely going to need a lot of training. Leia is a little bit more reserved, a little bit more nervous, but also very sweet. Anytime you're getting a puppy, you want to make sure that you're prepared to do all of the training yourself. They are not yet housebroken. They don't keep their run clean, but they will go outside when they're taken out to go to the bathroom. They don't have any of those basic manners. They don't know that they're not supposed to climb on people. They haven't yet learned what they can and can't put in their mouth. They don't necessarily know sit or down or stay or any of those things. So it's going to be up to their new owners to make sure that they're providing him with all those basic manners. Things that we have learned about them, while they are siblings and that they were found together as strays, their personalities are a little bit different. So Leia is friendly when you approach her. Luke is definitely more excited, jumps and barks when he sees people. Their reactions to other dogs are dependent on the dog. Either both of them can have really favorable reactions or sometimes, depending on the dog, a little bit of a negative reaction to other dogs. So if you were interested in them and you have existing pets in your house, especially another dog, we're going to want you to bring your dog in and see if it's going to be a good match between these guys and your existing dog. They're easy to obtain when they're walking through the kennel. Leia is nervous and lags behind her handler, but she also pulls like a typical pit bull, whereas Luke is just difficult to walk because he likes to bounce around. And then if other dogs are aggressive with him, then he kind of gives as good as he gets. He likes to, growl and bark at the other dogs if they're doing that to him. As far as food aggression, no real problems there. They just like to, they'll eat faster and things like that. Leia willingly lets go of objects, whereas Luke wasn't interested in anything that we gave him. And they both really, as you can see, lean in, enjoy touch. They want to cuddle and things like that. But super cute dogs, great personalities, great temperaments, but just remembering that anytime you're bringing a puppy into your house, it's a lot of work. So you want to make sure that you're committed to these guys long term, not just until they're not puppies anymore. If you are interested in them, you can visit with them here at the shelter. Puppies are adopted for a fee of $150, and we do not adopt puppies out together. So you would have to choose either Luke or Leia. This is Zoe, and Zoe is about a 4 to 5-year-old Chihuahua mix. Unfortunately, Zoe came from a home where she wasn't getting some of the basic care that she needed. So she has a little bit of thinning fur, and she had some live fleas on her when we got her. So she's been bathed and treated for that. So she just needs a home that's going to maintain her on all of those important preventatives. And as you may have seen, she's not housebroken, so she needs a family that's going to be committed to teaching her those basic things. Right now, we've seen that Zoe's not really capable of walking on a leash, so she needs somebody who's going to work with her on that and just building her confidence. She's pretty shy at first. She is friendly. She does seem to know her name, and she likes to give kisses and sit on laps. But she's a dog that's going to need probably be better suited to a more quiet environment, at least initially. She's friendly. She reacts favorably to other dogs. She's easy to obtain. She didn't have any issues with food aggression. She wasn't able to be tested for object guarding because she wasn't interested in what they gave her. And she She is nervous at first, but then once she gets comfortable, she leans in. She enjoys being petted and interacted with. She's okay with being picked up and carried, especially since that she's not really good at walking on a leash, although she seems to be doing pretty good right now with the leash, but she's just kind of wandering wherever she wants to go. So she is a dog that's going to need a little bit of patience, a little bit of understanding. She is about 14 pounds, so she's an adult dog. She's not going to get much bigger. You just want to watch, as with all smaller animals, making sure that they're not putting on excess weight. So, figuring out with your vet what the best amount of food for her to be given is and sticking with that. Since she is listed as 4 to 5, we always go with the higher age, so she would go home for a $20 reduction in her adoption fee, making her adoptable for a fee of $72.50. The last dogs that we have for you today are another bonded pair. They're a little bit more evenly matched than the bonded pairs that we had on the show previously, Reed and Bassoon. These guys are Bob and Marley. So the black and tan Chihuahua mix is Bob, and then the white Maltese mix is Marley. They are a little bit older. So Bob is listed at 7 to 8 years old, and then Marley is listed as 4 to 5. They are probably the shyest dogs that we have on the adoption floor right now. They too don't really know how to walk on a leash. They're very nervous at first. They're learning how to trust people and how to love people, but one thing that they have down pat is their love for each other. Marley is probably the more fearful of the two. He really looks to Bob for comfort. Bob is starting to come out of his shell a little bit more. He'll run up to the front of the kennel and kind of inquisitively, and then he runs back to the back. Whereas Marley kind of just stays in the back, and then if Bob goes to one side or the other, then Marley just kind of follows Bob around, and they sit together and they really rely on each other to feel safe and happy. They are friendly when they know you, but again, super cautious when you're a stranger. They take a little bit of coaxing to do everything. These guys are not house trained, so whoever takes them on would need to be willing to really work with them on house training, on confidence building, on walking on a leash, all of those types of things. They were hard to test for a lot of things, so Marley wasn't interested in any of the things, so we couldn't test Marley for food or object guarding. As far as Bob, Bob couldn't test for object guarding, but wouldn't really able to test him so much on food aggression either, but he would take a hand feeding. They're cautious, Bob, and then he starts to lean in and enjoy touch again as he gets to know you. Whereas with strangers, Marley will just shut down a little bit. And then he's still tense, but once he gets to know you, he'll be a little bit more interested in that interaction. So again, somebody who's got a nice quiet home, maybe not a lot of kids, or if you have kids at all, older kids who are going to not be running around, somebody who's very patient, and a stable home as well. If you're interested in these guys, because they are seniors, you get $20 off for each of them for being a senior, and then you get an additional $20 off for adopting too. You can visit them here at the shelter, 1832 Rosemont Avenue. We hope you enjoyed meeting all of the adoptable animals today. As always, if you didn't see something that you're interested in, you can stop into the shelter. In addition to the cats and dogs, we also have a variety of small animals that are looking for forever homes. We hope that you will tune in again next week as we introduce you to more of Frederick County Animal Control's adoptable pets.